are live. Oh my goodness. Welcome everybody to another episode of Girls Guide to Greatness. And yes, just because the title says Girls Guide to Greatness doesn't necessarily mean it's all about the ladies. We all have something to learn from each other, and I love having men on the show as well, especially great men doing great things in the world. And today I have an amazing guest. I'm so excited. This is Jeff Wickersham. He is in Philly right now with his family. He has a wife and two beautiful boys. And today he is going to be talking to us about high performance habits. He is a high performance habits coach, as well as a best-selling author, and he is a podcast host of his amazing podcast, Morning Fire for Entrepreneurs. So welcome to this show, Jeff. I'm super excited.
Oh, Rebecca, thanks for having me. I'm excited as well.
Well, this is so cool. And this is your very first time on the show, so I'm super excited to have you. We've had some amazing guests on the show, and I just love being able to bring people like yourself on so you can actually show people out there, you know what? You don't have to be perfect all the time, but let me show you a few things that you can do to get back on track. And especially like we were talking right before the show, how easy it's been for a lot of us nowadays, especially with 2020. A lot of us have had to kind of like get back on track or shift into a different space. And we kind of get lost in that sometimes. So I am eager to see what you have to say about how we can get back into that high performance habits space.
Yeah, absolutely. And COVID has brought about such a change in the landscape of the world, of all of our environments and our habits that we have day in and day out. And I would just say, if you're suffering from lack of exercise, if you're eating horribly, right, you've got to start small. And so many times people start with these grand ideas. It's why New Year's resolutions fail 3 weeks into it, right? Because they say, I'm going to work out 60 minutes every day for an entire year. Well, if you haven't worked out in 5 years, that's an unrealistic goal to set for yourself, right? Instead, You should say, I'm going to walk 5 minutes every day for 2 weeks and then add 5 minutes every week after. And if you start small, you're going to set yourself up more for success. And consistency is so much more than intensity when you're trying to build long-lasting, sustainable habits.
Oh, I love that. What you just said about consistency really strikes a chord with me, because I remember when I first started out in my health and fitness journey years ago, one of the main things I kept saying to a best friend of mine, I confided in her and I said, you know what? The only thing I'm consistent at is being inconsistent. Like, I was so frustrated. I was kind of stuck in that cycle that many of us get stuck in, and we just don't know how to break ourselves out of it. And also what you said about starting small, I think that's important, because I think we tend to get overwhelmed, right? When we have, like you said, with that grand idea. It reminds me of I think his name is Darren Hardy. He has the compound effect.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know that? Yeah, that's what it kind of reminds me. I love that book.
It's on my bookshelf right there, actually. And
yes.
It's very profound, where if you get 1% better each day for an entire year, you'll be 37 times better than when you started. And you'll have no idea who that person was a year ago that you were looking at.
That's brilliant. I absolutely love this. So Jeff, when you're working with people and you're trying to share that with them, how to get, shift into that high performance area, how to create those high performance habits, what are some of the things that you start out with?
One is an awareness of how much of what we do on a daily basis is driven through our habits and rituals. And I don't think it's taught in schools. It's not passed down through family generations, but up to 95% of what you do, and that number is just staggering, up to 95% of what you do is driven through your habits and rituals, meaning it's kind of on autopilot, right? It's behind the scenes. I always like to relate it to a computer program that you boot up your computer. There are many things that happen behind the scenes, but all of a sudden you just see your screen. And people stay stuck. They stay in this never-ending hamster wheel. It feels like Groundhog Day over and over again. And that's because you're in that 95% threshold where you're just on autopilot. So that would be number one. Okay. Number two, have accountability, right? Have someone that you're going to be accountable to. And if you can do that, then you're going to set yourself up for more success. And you don't necessarily need to have an accountability partner, but you could just say, you could go live on Facebook and say, you know what, I'm going to do this for an entire month. And there is a subconscious trigger that occurs in the back of your mind that you don't want to look like a liar to everybody, even though 99% of the people that watch your video or see your post aren't going to hold you accountable. But inherently behind the scenes makes you much more accountable for what you're going to do. And I did that in May, where I said, you know what, I'm going to go live every day on Facebook for an entire month at 12:30. Now, was anybody holding me accountable? Absolutely not. But there I was on a Friday afternoon at 12:30 down at the beach in my truck with a hotspot on my Wi-Fi doing a live, because I said I had to be true to my word. So that's just a little
I love that.
Yeah, a little trick that people can use.
Oh, I love that. That's great. Holding yourself accountable when you just put it out there and let someone know, what you're up to, what your goals are.
We always hold others accountable, but we let ourselves off the hook for whatever we want to accomplish. So that's just a little trigger that people can leverage.
That's awesome. I love it. So in your best-selling book, what was that about? Was that mainly about the success habits or the high performance habits?
So it's all based around what I call the morning fire routine. And the morning fire routine's mantra is rise, fight, love, repeat. So the book is actually called Rise, Fight, Love, Repeat, Ignite Your Morning Fire. And that's a mantra that I live by. I coach my clients on. And the rise is every morning kind of reborn like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Right. You're going to fight. You're going to fight for your physical fitness, mental fitness, nutritional fitness. And so many times we kind of lose that fight mentality, especially as adults. I'm the oldest of three. Don't fight with your brother. It kind of gets bred out of you. So fighting for each one of those aspects, then loving yourself most importantly. And when you love yourself, then you can love all those around you even much better. And then it's super sexy, the repeat. Right, the repetition piece, just repeating over and over again, so you can hardwire those habits and rituals that you're putting in place. You don't have to think about them; they set you up for success. And it's really about bookending your day. What does that last 30 minutes look like at the end of the day? How are you setting yourself up for success in the morning? And what does that first 30 minutes look like in the morning? And if you go through these short little bursts and get wins rather than checking your phone and being distracted, you'll have so much forward momentum that no matter what happens in your day, you'll be able to push through it.
I love that. That is great. I love what you said about the fighting part too, because I had to realize that at an early age, because I had my daughter at 19 and I was, trying to make a name for myself in my career and all these things. And so it was a struggle for most of my young life. And then I got to this point where it was like, there's got to be a better way. It's not necessarily working harder, but working smarter. But I still had this fire in me that I knew I had this like potential that was just dying to get out, And so then as I'm doing, moving out into the world, as I'm traveling the world, I've learned that it's important to fight for what we truly want and desire in life. I truly wanted to have an amazing life for my daughter and give her amazing opportunities that I didn't have. And so that's worth fighting for, to live my dream, to travel the world, to be able to speak to amazing people like yourself on an amazing podcast. That to me is worth fighting for. Like, we have to remember, I think you said, we get so comfortable in our normal day to day, we forget about those important things that, and we stay in our safe zone, I think, because my safe zone was behind my desk at work. I knew what I was doing. I was comfortable there. Everything's okay. But then as soon as we want to dare to dream, shall I say, and we want to step out into doing something that intrigues us or excites us, I think that we typically kind of okay, well, calm down, that's a little scary. And then that fighting syndrome, that fighting feeling just kind of has, dissipates. And it's like, okay, it's just, I'll just stay where I am. So I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Yeah. And the mind is hardwired for two basic things: to keep you safe and certain. And whenever you're stepping out of that comfort zone, it's not safe according to the mind, right? Because the mind still thinks you're in the cave and there's a saber-toothed tiger ready to kill you, and it's definitely not certain. So you're trying to fight that pull of being comfortable, and being comfortable is it's a difficult thing, because so many people feel that kind of itch on their back of the neck. They want to do something, they want to achieve greatness, but without having that knowledge of how the mind works and keeps you stuck and safe, you're always going to kind of be battling that. And I always relate it to, you have one foot on the gas pedal, but the mind has the other foot on the brake. You can't get anywhere because you want to go fast, but the mind's like, hold on, it's not safe, it's not certain. We should probably not do that. Or you've heard it from, unfortunately, people that are closest to you that don't want you to fail, saying, hey, be realistic, or have a backup plan, all of those pieces that
Right.
kind of hardwire you to say, maybe I just can't do this. Well, no, you can do anything you want to.
That's why I think it's important that we, like people like us, continue to spread that message of hope, that it can happen. And because I needed that message, if I hadn't heard from people like you, I love listening to, Tony Robbins and Robert Kiyosaki and all these people. And if it wasn't for people like them who wrote a book or who did a show or a seminar, I wouldn't have known that it was okay for me to step outside that comfort zone, that it was safe to do so. Because with their supporting words and their encouragement and their training, it helps me like build up that confidence to move forward on my dream. So now we're doing that. Now we get to be the light in other people's lives, which I find it very exciting. But have you ever heard, I'm sure you have, the book, Who Moved My Cheese?
I have heard of the book. I haven't read it yet, but I have.
Well, some of the things that you touched on reminds me about that book, because even though that we, in the book, it's a very short read, but in the book, it basically is telling us that we have to be kind of like, we have to be on the edge, being ahead of change and not being afraid of change. And so, because what happens is that if you don't honestly just go ahead and step out of your comfort zone on your own, sooner or later life is going to force you to. And so it's better just to do it on your own terms, right? And so be ready, be prepared. And what I love what Tony Robbins says is to always anticipate. So if we learn how to do that, then change isn't as scary, because now we have more control and we can actually kind of like guide our destiny a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I love kind of pushing that envelope of being uncomfortable. I mean, one thing I love to do is cold showers every single day. And I'm like almost 2 years straight of a cold shower, and I just get in, and it's that uncomfortable feeling, but I'm winning that battle with my mind. I'm stepping into something, quite honestly, I don't really want to do, but I just mentally say, nope, I'm going to do it. There's obviously some health benefits to it that I love.
Yes.
Getting out of your comfort zone is such a critical piece to growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a really cool thing how you were helping your clients with this and really helping them overcome, like you said, the hardwiring part, because I don't really think that people get this, because if we were trained into doing what we're doing right now and we have a certain outcome and result in our life, we were trained up to this point how to do that. So we can definitely train ourselves into a different path, right? Into a different outcome and result. And how do we do that? You team up with great coaches, you team up with great training, with seminars, you actually reach, you stretch, you grow, you ask, right? I always love saying that. Ask for what you want and then go get it. And I think that the more people that hear this over and over again will sooner or later, feel that desire inside them coming out to the surface even stronger. And then hopefully it'll give them that little bit of oomph, to cross that line and move over to that next level.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I think the reason why I focus on nighttime and morning routines is it's the end of your days and it's the beginning of your days. And if you can start out your day on the right path, that path to success, or that true north you're driving towards, you're setting yourself up for success. But if you let the day control you, and so many people, the alarm clock goes off, they hit snooze because it's right by their bed 3 times. It's not good sleep. They're slugging themselves into the shower, and they play defense all day long. And it's why anxiety, depression, unhappiness are at all-time highs, because their day controls them and they don't control the day. And the best way to take control of your day is, what am I going to do right when I wake up, and have a plan.
I love that. So can you give us like a few things that you do in the morning other than the cold shower? And I have to tell you, I do take cold showers every once in a while, but I have to be like desperate. Typically it's like after a tough workout, and I'll just like go in there, and it's like usually the last like 1 minute. I'll even count, 60 seconds, 1, 2, 3, just so I know it's in and out, because I'm just like, oh, I hate the cold. But other than the cold showers, what are the other things you incorporate in your daily routine, Jeff? Or I guess your morning fire?
Yep. So one thing at night is I stop any technology like about 30 minutes before I go to bed, right? Limit the blue light exposure, really prepare for sleep, as well as set things out in the morning. Thing I love to do right when I wake up is drink a full glass of water, right? The longest amount of time we go without water, adult body's made up about a 60% water, our vital organs are more, is when we sleep. So you're dehydrated. So drinking a full glass of water right when you get up starts that rehydration process, starts that wake up process. Love that when I first wake up. Love exercising a bit, and it's not necessarily exercising for burning calories. It's exercise for energy, right? Our bodies were made to move. If you move for 10 minutes, you're going to get a tremendous swell of energy. And then the other piece that I truly love doing, and all three of these can really travel wherever you go, right? You can get a glass of water, you can exercise. And the last one is meditation. Meditation has been a game changer for me. I always thought it was very woo-woo-ish, right? A monk on the side of the mountain, bald like me, crossed, in the snow pouring down for multiple hours. But having some time and I always use guided meditation because my mind's kind of going every which way. Somebody's saying, focus on your breath. Right. I'm almost up to 3 straight years. I think I'm 1,065 straight days of meditation. And it's every day having that habit, allowing myself to breathe for 10 to 15 minutes, create some space between the chaos. It really it gives you some perspective as well as calmness in any kind of situation. And it's definitely been a game changer. So those would be the 3. Drink a glass of water, exercise a bit, and meditate.
I absolutely love that, Jeff. I have to tell you, I'm the same way. Meditation has definitely worked wonders in my life. I actually started really focusing more on it this year, especially because I actually just like resigned from my corporate position, like right as COVID hit. And the people thought I was absolutely crazy when I told them I was going to Scotland. And they're like, the world's coming to an end and you're still focused on your dreams. What the what? And great. So, yeah, it's crazy. And so what I did though, is that I really honed in, I really focused, and I surrounded myself with people like Tony Robbins, Deepak Chopra, Dave Asprey, those kinds of people that I knew that were going to give me the right mental attitude, the right mindset to stay grounded and to really continue with that direction in my life. Because, if the world is going to end, then I want to end in a blaze of glory. Like I'm going to go for my dream no matter what. So I was determined to win. And when I actually took that on and I said, okay, that's going to be it, that this is what I decided to do. I took it upon myself to do this like hour of power, which I got from Tony Robbins, obviously, but I absolutely loved it. It changed my life because like you were saying earlier, when you move, something happens. There's like a magic that happens that I've discovered. And I was able to like tap into a genius level. Like all of a sudden ideas kept pouring into me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a great idea. Like 1 or 2 times I actually had to stop and pull and like write my notes into my phone as I'm running outside because it was such a great idea. But it was just something that happened. It was like a magic hour almost, I want to call it. And so I really encourage people to take the time to like you said, I love what you said about creating space in between the chaos, where it's only you. There's no such thing as time. There's no such thing as struggle or pain or anything. It's just you in that moment. And I love taking the time to breathe. And I always feel so much better. Just taking 1 deep breath can make a difference. But just imagine just taking a few minutes. Love it.
It's incredibly powerful how our breath can change how we're feeling, taking in those deep breaths, breathing in, being centered a little bit more. And it really gives you perspective and it sparks creativity. I do the same thing. I'm not a huge fan of long distance running, but I'll usually go for a run on a Saturday or Sunday and I'm listening to Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, and I get tremendous amount of ideas as I'm running and I'm listening and I'm filling my mind with those thoughts and those sessions. And I love what you said, surrounding yourself with people that are in that same arena. I've done that. And I would recommend to some folks, I've done this on Instagram, for example, kind of hiding people that are negative or don't have that same positivity and making sure I see the Tony Robbins, the Dean Graciosis, the Darren Hardys, the, Brendan Burchards, Evan Carmichaels of the world. So I see those every single day. It motivates you. It gives you energy. And if you want to achieve great things, you've got to surround yourself with people that are pushing that limit because it will help raise your level. And when there's 2 positive voices like we are right now, it just continues to build that positive energy.
Yes, that vibration, you get on the same sync, right? And it's harmonious. It's a beautiful thing. And like you were saying earlier, some people might think we're talking, this woo-woo stuff when we talk about the syncing and harmonization, but guys, we're all energy. And once people realize that and we can tap into these different levels of vibration and see the actual results show up in our lives, like it will change the way you look at life overall. Like I was just like blown away. like you were saying, surrounding myself with those kinds of people elevated my awareness to something I didn't even know was there. It was crazy. And now I'm actually excited about what's next and then the next level. And I just want to keep going and see how far I can go.
Yeah, absolutely. And surrounding yourself activates your reticular activating system, right? Where you see things. It's always that example of you buy a new car and all of a sudden you see all those cars all over the road. My wife got a Jeep a couple of years ago and she's like, how many people bought Jeeps today? And I'm like, they've been there the whole time, but your mind wasn't open and looking for it. That's why you saw them all. And she's like, what? And
yes, I love that.
But it's so powerful when you understand that concept and surround yourself with those types of ideas and thoughts and motivation. And then you start to get the same thing.
Absolutely. This is amazing. One last question I have for you, Jeff. Is there anything you could share with the audience? And, as you're helping your clients shift into this new high performance habits routine, how do you keep them motivated? How do you keep them, on track, on path, and, maybe helping them cross the finish line, actually reaching their goals, whatever that may be?
So my signature program is a 10-week course and it's daily accountability. So we're checking in every day that you got your morning fire complete. And when you see people check in, you see that positive momentum building. It's definitely a motivator, as well as it's 10 weeks in length, because studies have shown habits are developed anywhere from 21 to 67 days. I'm sure we've all heard 21 days to make a habit. It's crap. That's like the bare minimum. And that's why so many people fail. I mean, it is, right? Everybody thinks, I'm 21 days, I made it. Now that's actually where the old neural network and the new neural network are kind of the same, and you got to push through. So getting over that 10-week hurdle, as well as daily accountability, it just helps inspire, helps people to check in and be accountable to a group and to others is a very powerful thing.
I love that. When I first started doing health and fitness coaching back in the day, well, actually, it was before I started coaching, I actually hired a coach. And the one thing I didn't like about this coach, well, I really did, but he actually had us as a group, all the people in our group, we had to text him everything we ate during that day, every day we had to text him. And we actually used Twitter, I think, back then, but whatever it is, he held us accountable. And so in the very beginning, I was like, I don't want to text him that I ate like a donut for breakfast or, whatever. I'm supposed to be eating healthy, right? And so I think it's very powerful, like you were saying, accountability is legit. It just makes you like second guess, take a step back and be like, okay, am I really making the wisest decision here? Is this really the best choice for me, for my body, or whatever it is that you're trying to get to? So that's awesome. That's powerful.
Yep, absolutely does.
Okay, Jeff. Well, how can people find you is always the question at the end of a podcast. Do you have any really cool, groups going on or programs or anything like that?
Yeah. So, I mean, they can find me on the socials, Instagram, Jeff_Wickersham, or out on Facebook. They could go out to Amazon. That's where my book's at if they want to take a quick read of my book, Rise, Fight, Love, Repeat, Ignite Your Morning Fire, as well as I have a mastermind I'm enrolling right now called Kings of Sparta. I know your audience is mostly women, but ladies, if you have a husband, boyfriend that wants to absolutely grow personally and professionally in the next year, it's a groundbreaking, with daily accountability for a year. They can go out to www.kingsofsparta.com and book a call, and I can give them the details.
I love that. That sounds really awesome. And it's actually perfect timing, right? Towards the end of the year as we're wrapping up and then going into the new year where everybody's thinking about changing it up or doing something different or something new. The girls out there listening, like he said, this would be a great gift for your husband or your boyfriend or whatever. And then the men, of course, watching too, make sure you get in touch with Jeff. It sounds like he's doing amazing things. So be a part of that. And Jeff, I just can't say thank you enough for being on the show. It's so much fun getting to know you. And I wish you the best in everything that you do. And who knows, maybe you'll be on the show again in the future. So thank you so much.
Rebecca, thank you. Thank you for having me. Greatly appreciate it. And have an amazing rest of your day.
Absolutely. All right, Facebook, we are out. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for hanging out with us. Cheers.